How to offer podcast services as a virtual assistant, even if you've never edited before. My name is Mong'are, a virtual assistant helping freelancers build profitable careers online. And today we are talking about one of my favorite topics, how you, yes, you can offer podcast services as a VA, even if you have never edited a single episode. If you are curious about getting into the podcasting space or podcast world, but you feel like you're not tech savvy, this episode will calm you down, and we are breaking down every step. We are breaking it down step by step. Let's start with the obvious. Podcasting is booming. Every coach, consultant, speaker, even small business owners are launching podcasts. So why are they doing that? Because it builds trust faster than any social media post. And here's the thing, while podcasts are growing, most podcast hosts don't have time for the behind the scenes work, like editing, writing show notes, booking guests, promoting episodes, because it all takes hours. That is where virtual assistants like you come in. Clients are willing to pay for help, and you don't need to be a sound engineer to start. So what are some of the services you can offer as a podcast VA beyond editing? Now, let's talk about the services. Editing is great, but it's not the only way to serve podcast clients. Here are a few things you can offer today as a podcast VA. Show notes. Summarize each episode in simple, engaging text for their website or Spotify or wherever they host their podcast. Guest booking, research and reach out to potential guests. For this one, if the podcast hosts interviews, you will be in charge of looking for guests. People are interested in showing up on that podcast, and they have to be people in their niche, not just anybody. Another thing you can do as a podcast VA is audiograms. These are short, shareable clips with captions, and they're great for social media. Probably you've seen them on TikTok, YouTube, and even on Facebook. Another thing you can do as a podcast VA is scheduling. This means you are in charge of uploading and publishing episodes to platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Buzzsprout or wherever they host their podcasts. You see what you can do? So you don't have to be the one cutting audio to be valuable. So what are some of the tools you can start with? I want to mention the free ones, and this is because many people freeze here when they think about the tools they are going to use to as a podcast VA, and they always think they are very expensive. For one, for editing, you can use the free ones like Descript or Audacity. They are so great when it comes to editing. For show notes, you can use Google Docs. That's the most simple, the easiest tool, and the most available. You may also try Notion. For audiograms, you can use Headliner or Canva. So these, they do not need you to be creative. You just need to know how to use them. For scheduling, you can use Anchor, Spotify for podcasters, Buzzsprout, or even Google Calendar for guests booking. So a quick one, if you've been thinking about offering podcast services but you're not sure where to start, I've put together a simple checklist for you. It walks you through the basics you need to have in place before you land your first client. No fluff, just the essentials that you need to get started. So if you're serious about helping coaches, speakers, small business owners with their podcasts, grab these checklists right now. The link is right there in the show notes. Don't wait. This could be the first step to adding podcast services to your VA business. All I can say is that if you want to be a podcast VA, start small, use what is free, and upgrade later. Most people, when I tell them to be podcast VAs, the next thing they ask me, I do not have a portfolio, I do not have a sample, so what can you do? So how do you build a sample? You might be asking, how do I get clients? I've never done podcasts work before. Here's the hack, or here's a tip that I'm going to give you. Create your own sample. Take a random YouTube video, strip the audio, write your notes for it, design a fake audiogram, and boom, you have a portfolio piece to share with your potential clients. No, you don't need clients to have a sample, just proof that you can deliver, that you can do something, you can edit something. Another thing that I want to share is how to talk about your offer with confidence. Now, when you're talking to clients, don't undersell yourself or do not underprice yourself. Instead of saying, I've never done this before, say, I help podcasters stay consistent by handling the editing, notes, and promotion so you can focus on recording. So one thing I want you to know is that confidence sells. Your pitch should focus on the results, saving the time, keeping their podcast alive, and helping them grow an audience. So how do you price yourself as a podcast VA? How to price your first gig? Let's touch on pricing. For beginners, you don't need to charge premium rates on the beginning, but don't work for peanuts either. Start with a starter package, which might look like $100 to $150 per month for basic editing plus show notes, $200 to $300 per month for show notes plus audiograms, for editing show notes plus audiograms. You can have add-ons like guest booking can be billed separately. As you gain clients and confidence, you raise your rates. That is it, very simple. So you see, you don't need amazing tools to get started. You just need the guts to start. Podcast services are one of the fastest growing opportunities for VAs, and you can get into it even if you have never touched editing software before. So if you're serious about offering both podcast services and want a checklist to get started, check the link in the description. I've put together a simple checklist for you. It walks you through the basics you need to have in place before you land your first client. No fluff, just the essentials that you need to get started. So if you're serious about helping coaches, speakers, small business owners with their podcasts, grab these checklists right now. The link is right there in the show notes. Don't wait. This could be the first step to adding podcast services to your VA business. And if you're already offering podcast editing and want to attract better clients, stick around. The next episodes are for you. So thanks for tuning into the Freelancers Mic. I'll catch you in the next episode.